Welcome to the Financial Sense series. I am your host, Judy McCutcheon. I'm an experienced financial educator, consultant, and coach. Most of our challenges surrounding money come from the things we have been taught and our money experiences as children. Studies show that 80% of our mindset around money is formed by age 10. That is why I have created the 30-day money mindset detox program. This program is for the woman who wants to enjoy more freedom to be who she is, more freedom to express herself authentically, and more freedom to live life on her terms. So, if you are that woman and you're ready to take control of your life and your finances, one, register for my free budgeting workshop coming up on the 13th. The link should be in the comment, and also look out for my 30-day money mindset detox program, which will be launching pretty soon. Money is undoubtedly one way for us to turn the dreams we have into the reality we live. It doesn't matter how we think or feel about money. One thing for sure is that you feel stressed and out of control when you don't have any. You either master money or it masters you. Today, I am joined by two remarkable ladies. Dr. Dion Chamberlain Miranda is a published author of 5 books in a leadership series. She is the managing director and partner at Chamberlain Consulting Limited, which conducts strategy development, organizational reviews, training, communication and visibility strategies, and stakeholder consultations on a social entrepreneurship basis. She believes that to whom much is given, much is expected. For every paid job, a complimentary service is provided. She holds a PhD in business administration and a master's degree in global management. She has completed several specialized training programs, including leadership at the Center for Applied Sciences in Geneva, Switzerland. She believes that if you can dream it, you can achieve it, but only if you take action. Welcome, Dr. Miranda. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me as well, Judy. It's such a pleasure to be with you again. I wish it were in real life.
I
Or
know, right?
real people,
But
yes. Sorry.
that time will be coming shortly.
Wonderful, wonderful. I live for the dreams.
Yes. Then we have Miss Jacqueline Williams. Jackie is a human resource management professional. Her experience spans hospitality, healthcare, and the utility sectors. She's currently the human resource manager at the Grenada Electricity Services Limited. She holds a BSc in management, an MSc in organizational psychology, and a postgraduate certificate in employment law and practices. She is SHRP and SHRM SCP certified, and that's human resource. Those are human resource letters. She is a recipient of a Global HR Leadership Award. Ms. William explores the positive impact that emotional intelligence has on organizations, on organizational and individual behaviors, and is determined to infuse many people with this passion. She believes that the essence of her being resides in her worship of Jehovah. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you so much, Judy. It's my pleasure.
Great.
And I will get to see you sooner. So
Yes, sooner
I have the
than Dion,
advantage.
right?
Yes, I have the advantage.
Thank you, ladies, so much for being here as we continue the money series. This is number 8 in a 10-part series. When we talk about wellness in the workplace, we are talking about more than just a yearly checkup. We are looking at it from a holistic standpoint. Wellness can and does have an impact on quality of life, which in turn affects people's outlook and behaviors. In these current times, focusing on the wellness of employees becomes even more critical. Looking at the problems employees face on and off the clock and working with them to help reduce and eliminate can result in major boosts to productivity and ultimately your bottom line. Not to mention more engaged employees, which again improves productivity and profitability. So you see the connection between the two. A wellness program, a financial wellness program has to be intentional because it is a major piece in investing in your employees' well-being. Today we are focusing on financial wellness in the workplace, and for us to get a good understanding, we need to define financial wellness. And according to the National Financial Educators Council, financial wellness has to do with your relationship with money. It refers to how secure your money is, given all the variables involving an unknown future. Are you prepared for emergencies? Do you have an action plan in place to reach your long term and short term financial goals throughout life? It also includes your present situation with money. Do you have a budget? Do you stick to it? What are your attitudes towards money? Does the thought of it make you sick to the stomach or does it make you come alive? That's quite a long definition, yeah? But given that definition, what do you think is the nexus between an employee's financial wellness and their productivity? Dion, I'll start with you.
You know, Judy, you've opened up so many different areas to discuss there. I think the very first statement that you made is that our first interaction with money or handling money really makes a difference, and that's from the point of being age 10 or whatever it is. If money comes freely to someone without ever having to work hard for it or putting in energy and effort, that will become an expectation, and that's even within the workplace. And so when you speak about employee engagement, it means that I, as the employee, must feel that I am achieving my personal dreams and aspirations as I want to arrive at that destination. Now, you spoke about detoxing, and I love that word because a lot of us have to realize that our decisions create our actions and then create our habits. And so, as a Caribbean people, and I can only speak about Caribbean because that's where I am from, but I believe that just like in companies and in entrepreneurship, we feel that every dollar that we make is ours to spend, and we don't remember about things that you've taught us many different sessions in terms of investing in yourself, whether it be an insurance package, whether it be um, a home, whether it be in different revenue streams. Because I think, Judy, one of the things that you've mentioned to me in the past is that every human being must have several different revenue streams. You have to have the one that's in the office that you're making, but you also have to have that static revenue stream when there is no money to be coming in from your particular office. And that could be coming from your savings. However, the way our organizations are set up is where there is spending occurring in governments, spending occurring at the workplace that some of us would not necessarily take within our own personal lives. And these create the habits that we need to detox so that we can get to that point that you're speaking about. Because a lot of problems and a lot of disengagement that employees have to do with they don't have enough money, and they blame the company because they think that because I want a car and I want to fet every weekend and I want new clothes and I want this, the company must rise to my challenge. The reality is that no employer will raise to your challenge, and we get angry even though we accept the job. We get angry. We're like, well, why is Judy being paid $100,000 for that job and you only paid me 20? It's because she had self-esteem. She had value for herself and she stood up for what she deserved or whatever. And these problems that you're bringing up here is not only within the workplace, it is within the marriages, because most marriages have, when people are extremely wealthy, they don't really have problems in marriage, when the money is flowing really good. I find that we have to get to this point. And the only reason I get angry at you when I don't have money and I lose my engagement at the workplace is because I'm dependent on you for my money. And when I'm dependent on you, you make me angry when you don't give me the money that I want. We have to not only be at the point of independence where we are fulfilling our passions and our goals, working at the location and therefore fulfilling the vision and the mission of the organization, but to that point when we're interdependent, where the organization is pleased to have me, I'm pleased to have them, and we're both growing each other to that era where we want to be. And that is where employee engagement comes from. But you've said so much mouthfuls in just your presentation opening that I think you have my brain spinning. I hope I didn't unravel a little bit too much just now. So maybe Jackie can jump in here.
No, man, you were fine. Jackie.
So I have to be true to my HR profession.
Yes, you do.
And as you mentioned in at the outset, financial wellness is holistic. So I see it as a part of our holistic well-being. So think about the physical, the emotional, the mental part of it. It sits right there. And if we think about it in that context, it means that anything that enhance or negatively affect that financial wellness will also affect the productivity in the organization.
Definitely. And one of the things that I know is that employers always, well, this is not across the board, but they tend to believe that that is an added expense that they don't need. But the cost of financial wellness programs rarely, it varies based on scope and size. The research shows that even if an employer were to spend 50,000 US dollars per year on a financial wellness program, the benefits derived are endless. Given what we've just discussed, um, the link between an employee financial wellness and their productivity, what do you perceive to be the likely potential impact to an employer as a result of an employee's poor financial behavior? And I'm going with the HR lady.
Um, so if you think about it, what does poor financial behavior lead to? Somebody could get stressed. If you get stressed, it could affect your physical health. If you're not well enough to be in the workplace, then a number of things are going to happen, right? You could get distracted. Think about all the time you will spend to try to work through what is happening. It could affect your concentration, poor concentration. You might not want to go to work. So we have the problem of absenteeism. And it definitely affects employee engagement. It affects employee satisfaction and ultimately the bottom line. And that is why business exists.
Yes, definitely. And let me go to Dion before I come in. Dion?
Yogis, and you do all of these other parts. And I think that what we all need to come back to all of this is really great leadership, where people absolutely care about the people who they are in charge of, in stewarding. And I think that is where HR and leadership ought to be looking at, is where we contemplate somebody's overall and total well-being. And in terms of that overall, we need to look at the emotional, we need to look at the financial, and financial, honestly, is always, like you mentioned earlier, it is a symptom of when your emotions are not intact. It's when your other parts, you're not actually balanced in all of the different areas that you are. So an organization in today's light needs to see itself in having proper counseling in place, and that's financial counseling and daily issues counseling, because people are going through a lot of hell. And I'm not basing it on only on COVID, but right now employers are asking employees to work at half what they used to work at before, and they are expected to run their homes and deal with certain things. There are a lot of concerns that occur within the financial space, but as a leader and as an HR perspective, financial training is even more important as you prepare your staff to be able to exit your system at retirement as well. One of the things that hurts me to the core at this very day is looking at people who worked at one location that both you and I worked at, Judy, where they were working there and they left with a pension that only lasts them 3 to 5 years. And some of them are living in actual poverty at this stage. It is one of the most heartbreaking things for me to see this. And so financial literacy and taking care of that financial education at this point for our team members should not be occurring at 5 years before retirement or the day before retirement. We need, as employers, to start creating these financial training sessions that Trudy is speaking about, and these detoxing these negative behaviors that affect our finances for people from when they're 20 years old. Because when they're 20, they see jewelry and alcohol and clothes and fetting and blinging as being the most important thing. When they get to that other age, they think it's all house and children and whatever. And then when they're 50, 55, we tell them, oh, by the way, it's retirement time, okay? You need to go home now. And we go home with mortgages still unpaid, car loans still unpaid. Some of us go home with children still in school. And then all of that time, and that is when people feel the biggest slap in their face from an employer. When I have given you my everything and my all, and I walk away from you dead broke. And so as an employer, in terms of employee wellness, financial wellness is absolutely mandatory and core. And it does not start at age 50 like what I see other companies are doing. It has to start when that person is 20. And we need to journey map them through to being 60 and telling them, look at yourself and tell me where you will be at age 60 if you continue where you are right now, and help them. Because I'm telling you, that is the biggest fear and the biggest pain that I see in my society today, is where hardworking people of my age, 20 years from now, are going to be impoverished, living on the side of the road, mental health issues, and their children not being willing to look at them or take care of them. And this is where the employer responsibility lies. Financial wellness is one of the most important for marriages, for homes, for every different aspect. And so I'm really rooting for this program to go forward, Judy, because every company needs to have a detox period and a financial wellness program in their environment.
One of the things that I believe shouldn't happen is that you can't give me 300,000, 400, 500,000 to go home with, and you have not taught me what to do with it. Because for me, that is a whole lot of money. And what am I going to do with it? I'm going to think I could buy a car, I could do this, I could do that, I could do the other, and then completely forgetting what the real purpose behind this $500,000 is. So education is really an important aspect. And if I were to hazard a guess, I would.
I'm saying the mandatory programs that the company puts in place, because yes, we don't walk out there with all the sense in the world with that $300,000. You understand? So organizations have to make it, and that's what I love about government pensions, because you get that until you die. We need to ensure, because women are living to 90 and men are living to 80. And a long time ago, we lived until 70 or 60. And then we retired at 50, 55. We only had 15 years to live for, but now we need 25 years of money after we are retired, It's very difficult.
In some instances, we need 30 years of money. Jackie,
Yes.
I see you smiling. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm positioning myself in organizations, and I also want to see it from the organizational perspective that there might be challenges, and there is work that we have to do to sensitize and bring that awareness and the benefits, because organizations want to see immediately what they're gaining from the things that they do, So I think we still have some work there. I don't want to bash them too much,
Right. And building on that, right? If I were to hazard a guess, I would say that just about 1%. And if anybody listening and looking who have a different percentage can correct me, but I would say just about 1% of employers in a region see the need and are vested in their employees' financial well-being. The majority thinks that employees are supposed to come to work, do their jobs, get paid, and that's the end of that. However, we're not two separate people. I can't, the maximum of leaving your problems at the door doesn't exist, because we can't simply leave our problems at the door, right? So do you see this lack of recognition on the employer's part as a regional issue? And I'm talking about our region. And if so, how can we change the narrative? As Jackie was saying, there's work to be done. How can we change that narrative and get employers to be vested in the financial well-being of their employees? Dion?
What you've just said, I mean, we tell the employee to leave their problems at the door. However, we don't ever tell them, don't take homework with you, okay? You better not take our work and do extra work at home, because we only want you to work 9 to 5. And so we have to look at, you mentioned, the reciprocity that we're looking for within our employees and giving them that balance it is that they absolutely need. So the employer now, the thing that I'm seeing happening within the region, and I don't know if COVID is creating this even more. We are looking at putting people on contracts so that we don't have to pay any insurance or any major benefits. I see a lot of companies and even the government moving towards that. They see that as the easy way out. That's how you can fire them faster that way. We have to start to realize that people are human beings. And when we create economic stability for the employee, we create economic stability within our environments at the end of the day. And we cannot separate or divorce that. You can't say that you want someone to act one way at work and another way at home, unless we're trying to create a bipolar environment for our workplace. I believe that a lot of employers right now are looking heavily at how to cut costs. And I can tell you, Judy mentioned this before, and I know we don't have the time to get into this very heavily, but customer retention is closely linked to employee engagement, and employee engagement, economic returns is hinged upon customer service. So if you don't have great employee engagement, you won't have great customer services within our environment. And if you don't have great customer service, you will start to see the financial returns of your company go down. And this is clearly seen in Gallup polls that have been done, which ties these two together. So although we think that we're getting cheaper employees right now by cutting their salaries and cutting them down to the end because of COVID, what you're doing is taking away that person's discretionary ability to give you more. When you are loyal to me, I am loyal to you, and I will give you more every time. And if we are in this together, we will work through it together. But the minute I start to feel that you are taking away from me and expecting me to just accept, weighing down my financial capabilities and weighing down my ability to take care of my family, my loyalty to you goes. And when my loyalty to you goes, my work input goes, and I start shaving back. And when we go back to business as normal or life as normal, as everybody is saying, we won't like the new normal that has been created, because it will be created based on exactness and how you've treated me when life went hard for you, not how you would have treated me in general. So we have to be careful of how we're treating our valued human resources at this very time, because money does matter, and emotions will allow me to contract and withdraw, and I can't give it back to you after we've changed our positions with each other.
Definitely. Jackie?
I probably have different filters, because
Yes.
I've had the privilege of working with organizations that see people as the whole. We don't expect them to divorce themselves of what happened at home when they get to work. So I think I needed to say that, but I understand your question in terms of, maybe what we can do in the region. And I have to think that organization needs change, and situations and perspectives drive that initiative and drive change. And so organization evolve over time. And as they examine their business, they will see the different things that they need to do so that they can arrive at their objective. And I think us who know the value of, say, financial wellness program and looking at employee holistically, I think we need to prove to those who are lagging behind the importance of something like that. And one way we do that is that we have to be able to measure and assess the programs that we have. So when we're able to do that, because if somebody's going to make an investment in well-being, they really need to be able to see their return on that investment. And I don't think that we capture and measure how these programs work as much as we should, so we can have that information that we need to sell something like that. And I think when we're able to provide it in a form that organization can absorb and regurgitate, we will see more of an uptake for these kinds of programs.
And two, one of the things that we have found in trying to collate data is that organizations don't share data. So then it becomes difficult to gather unless we you have to do a bunch of it and then use your own data to do it. But definitely organizations in the region tend not to like to share data. I can get data from anywhere in the US, but getting data from here is a problem. So we need to start to be a little bit more trusting, because it's the only way that we could really move ahead. That's. um, training programs? Because I know that there are some parts of the company like to say, well, that's a HR thing, right? But we know that training program and employee development are usually the purview of the training or the human resource department. And this is also where, if an organization has an EPA, that's where it will be. However, from a financial wellness program standpoint, a financial wellness program is not a typical, even though it should be something that's normalized, right? Therefore, I believe that programs such as these has to be intentional and driven from the top. How do you think we can get the leadership team? And I an advocate for HR being a strategic partner. HR, in my estimation, should be a part of the leadership team. So, how do we get leadership teams in organizations to see programs such as this as a sense of responsibility to their employees? And Jackie?
Um, and I guess I want to follow up a little bit on my prior comment and what you said about us not sharing information. Think about leaders and managers and the information that they use to make decision. Really, we need to have the data. So having that, I also think we need to equip leadership. And the way to do that, they themselves have to be exposed to this kind of these programs, these training. So HR and whoever else, we have to influence our leaders. We have to get them to the point of participating. Maybe they should be the first in organization to be exposed to these kinds of programs. And when they're able to do that, they would have shared in it. They have a personal stake. They see the benefit. They know how to pass that on. As organizations, those show that they care about people, then a certain amount of loyalty, they will inspire loyalty, motivation in the team. And I think that is what leadership does. So if they are not equipped to do that, it's going to be difficult. So I would say provide the information, the data, get the leadership team to be exposed to the training in the first place. And I think that is how we can inspire the rest of employees.
And conversely, right, the surveys also show that financial matters are top concerns for employees, especially now. Dion, how do you think employees will view employers who take an interest in their well-being beyond the borders of the workplace?
It absolutely builds loyalty, and that's one of the first things that you want to do. And this is a standard and on a customer service perspective, whether it be an internal customer or an external customer. Once you understand the financial constraints that I have or could have as a customer, internal or external, we start to build loyalty with each other. So I like the idea of a survey, and I believe that an employee engagement survey using net promoter scores, because you do want to realize something. A lot of people will say, are you happy with the organization? And a staff member will say, not relevant or neutral. Those are the answers that we have to be more concerned about, because people who are verbal that say, yes, I have a problem with money, trust me, they're working through their issues. The ones who answer, yes, they may be trying to toe the line. And the ones who say neutral, those are the ones that you really have to be concerned about. I believe that it's very important for us to do at this juncture within all our companies, find out from our employees, how are you doing financially? Because I may be gainfully employed and having my entire salary, but 6 of my family members no longer have a salary. And my estranged husband, who used to pay child support, no longer has a salary. So I am now bearing responsibilities that I never had before. But we assume that everybody in the room is being paid, so we're good. We don't understand the financial issues that go well beyond the actual practical parts of somebody working within your organization. And again, it is important that we start taking this even before the employee perspective. I believe that, just as Judy mentioned, that from the age of 10, we decide on how we're going to be handling matters and all of that financially. We need to start taking this into our schools at a very young age so that people start understanding these things. I am completely blessed by the fact that when I was 8, 9, 10 years old, my mother had me selling lemon pie and pizza and Creole bread on the side of the road. That helped me to learn to sell in bulk. It helped me to create relationships with my customers so that I would always know who to sell to every week, so I didn't have to reinvent myself or walk into other neighborhoods I didn't want to walk into. So again, as you've said that, I've learned to correlate that back to me. I learned to be good with finances and making money with many different revenue streams based on the fact that I was forced to do it at a young age. And we need to start doing this. So companies, I would also encourage that the same way you have visit the day at the office with mommy, finances for children, finances for the person within the environment, and also helping that employee out of a hole if they are there. I once had an employee who was acting out, missing work, all the things that Jackie mentioned earlier. And I had to sit down with her. When I found out from her how horribly in the hole she was from borrowing, I asked the company, can we take her out of the hole, give her one flat loan, consolidating everything, rather than her having all these people at the gate waiting to meet her at the end of the day. And they did it. And that was how she got out of that hole and is now productively giving to every other company. We need to stop doing these overarching rules and packages within our HR environment. We have to understand that one size does not fit all, and we need to get a little bit deeper, the same way we do with our customers. Know your customer is the way to go, and knowing your internal and external customer is the way that we will bridge that gap on an HR financial need perspective.
Definitely. And I'm building on what you're saying, Dion, because we have all at some point or the other made financial mistakes, each and every one of us, right? Whether
Yes.
overspending, not paying our higher purchase installment, writing checks without insufficient funds, borrowing from co-workers. I mean, we have all done something, right? Now, these actions in and of themselves do not they do not necessarily constitute poor financial behaviors. However, when these behaviors keep occurring frequently along with other similar mistakes, then we're getting into the realm of poor financial behavior. Jackie, how do you suppose companies should deal with these instances once they recognize them in an employee?
I just want to echo something Dion said, that the kind of exposure to financial wellness needs to start very early. And I know you're asking me about organization. I think in the same vein, organization need to have some kind of employee support system in place. Dion mentioned the employee assistance program before, because I think we want to take preventative measures instead of us reacting to when these situations happen. But let me go directly to your question. I think if something like that develops, there definitely need to be some intervention. And the intervention has to be designed to help the employee to look at the full scope of their financial health. It might involve debt servicing. We probably have to get counseling where that is concerned. We have to think about goal setting. And I think in any kind of mentoring and counseling situation like that, we have to look at the psychological aspects. But I have to put in a plug here. I think the good news is that help is available, and we have organizations like Go Blue. I have been to the financial wellness program that was put on. So there is help. So we really need to be able to access the resources that are out there that we can use to help our employees, to help our team members in situations like that.
As it really is. I remember talking to one person who said to me that they were doing an appraisal for staff, and the police was outside the door waiting for the staff because they had borrowed so much and couldn't pay back. But then locking them up doesn't really solve the problem. All right, Diane?
You mentioned I could be servicing my debts extremely well, and then my partner can no longer pay child support, for instance, and all of a sudden I am in a situation that I was not in a while back. So the reality is that we have to realize that this is a dynamic position and condition. You can't just ask me today if I'm well financially and then forget about me for the next 5 years within your company. This has to be a conversation, and this training has to occur over and over for it to be, I mean, it has to be something that it happens, repetitively. In my training, I mean, I use the Prosky change management methodology, which is awareness. We have to be aware of where we are. We have to have desire to get out of the hole, but we have to have the knowledge of how to do it. And that's where the financial wellness sessions are important, because if I don't know how to get out of the hole, then I'm sorry, but I can't get out of the hole. And then I have to take actions, but I also need, and this is where my brother's keeper comes in place, and mentorship and coaching. I need somebody on my side to say, I see you buy that expensive thing just now. You're sure you could afford it? Because there's a chance I shouldn't, right? And then the reinforcement where the sessions are over and over. But I think that, and this is, and I'm using Belize, but I see companies here, they do a financial wellness session for everybody at age 50. They never look at them again until, they do it just because they're going to retire. And it's set as a to-do list, not as a, because I want to help you make your life better list. We have to stop doing things in rote, as in, you have to do it. It's like, in the morning, I have to brush your teeth. No, you have to brush your teeth. Yes, we have to brush it properly with a good toothpaste that will take care of you and will not make your teeth drop out. It's not just to do for do's sake. So every action has to be with the intention to create something. And then you have to come back and check with me. My vision, my plan, are you sticking to it? How far have you veered off? How will I help you get on track? Do I need to hold your hand? Do I need to lend you some money to get out of the hole? So remember, financial issues and financial planning are well beyond an event. It took me 10 years to get in the hole that I'm in. So it'll take me 10 years to get out, but I need your support. I need your guidance. I need your education. I need your hand holding. It is not an overnight fix. And a lot of us seem to think that, she went to financial wellness class, so you're done fixing. It's not like neutering a puppy. It doesn't work that way.
And then 50 is like, kind of like too late if I am retiring and at 60. But now we see where the retirement age is being moved further and further back, because people just can't work. Because if I am working, if my salary is $1,200 every month, and I haven't had any sort of education on how to plan, what to do for my retirement, and all of that, and then at age 50, you give me a training, and then I realize, Lord, I ain't had no money, then that is another issue, because then my emotional health comes into place, right? Because I get very depressed because I have 10 more years. How am I going to get that money to retire, to live 30 years past my retirement? One of the things that employees say, and I hear it all the time, all I need is a raise and I will be able to get through this. But what I have learned is that you cannot out earn your spending. You simply cannot, right? So for employees who are in financial difficulty and they get an increase in salary, what should be some of the first things they should be doing? Because they don't do the things that they should be doing. So what are some of the first things you think that they should be doing, as opposed to actually what they actually do with that raise? Jackie?
I think I need the expert guidance here, But if we think back on our previous question, and an employee who is in some kind of financial difficulty, and now they got a salary increase, then they should have a plan. So maybe the plan is coming out of the intervention that happened before. And it would mean that they would have to stick with this plan. I think, again, they would have to look at the debts they have, try to bring themselves out of debt. Then they would have to think about savings with the increase in salary. Can't wait until you're 50, so we need to think about some kind of retirement plan. And I think really it will involve putting effort and work into it to kind of get back on track. And so this increase, in whichever way can help to get them back on track, that is where it should be dedicated first. But as I said, I think I would need some expert guidance there.
So one of the things that I also know is that our lifestyle rise to meet our income. What do you think, Dion?
Interesting what she said just now. Maybe I learned it a different way, but when I was growing up, I mean, my mother was disabled and a single mother, and whenever I got a raise, for some reason, a bill always matched my raise almost to the penny. I could remember if I came home with a $3,000 for the year raise, my mother would present me with a medical bill for $3,000 that she just got that same day. So I used to think that, the stars were not aligning in my favor. So from I was young, I realized that whenever I got a raise, it is not mine. So never plan for it. And up until this day, even if I get a client who I have on retainer, I don't spend that money because I know that that money could end tomorrow, and I don't want to get used to living with it or on that money. So I learned that a very difficult way is that when I get a raise is not mine. That raise is there because some bill is gonna come from somewhere and hit me in the head that I will need that money for, and maybe it doesn't happen in the first month, but it happens. And so I tell everyone, if you get a raise, start saving it or build static income with it, which means you invest in something that you will gain some revenue off of that money. So I have found that real estate is one of the areas that money can be doubled and make a difference. And so that's what I've done. Whenever I've gotten any extra money, I start working towards being able to do maybe a property that you could do rental or something to that effect. It's important for us to have different revenue streams. I know we have jobs, but we need to have static income, whether we're lying on our back and can't get up, because as we get older, we have surgeries, we have different things that occur. During pandemics, you get layoffs. You have to have something to hold you over during that period so that you don't have the emotional instability, which in some of us, because of our natural predisposition to have a mental breakdown, could happen faster. So it's very important for us to start to prepare these things as early as we can, which is why it's important for us to share and give the information and help people to grow and give them this training from that early stage. And I know that some of us are beyond. I mean, I'm over the 50 mark, but I'm just saying, let's go back and let's treat the people within our environment and our companies who are young. Give them that opportunity to do well. Remember, it's in our best interest because they're paying our social security for when we retire, right? So it's us investing in them so they can invest back in us when we get older, right? So it's really very cyclical, and that's how I'd want for us to look at it, is not spend everything you get. The same way the entrepreneur cannot spend every dollar they make. They have to reinvest into the business. Always get that growth in money and reinvest in it. Even if you buy a pair of shoes for yourself, buy a good enough pair that when you sell it, you could sell it for the same price that you bought it for. I'm not saying don't buy the things you like. Just make sure you can monetize everything that you do.
Definitely. A couple years ago, two behavioral economists did an experiment that's called Save More Tomorrow. So what that experiment is about is that they worked with a group of factory workers who said they don't have enough money to save. So every time they got a raise, they saved a portion of that raise. So over a 5-year period, those employees were now saving like 15% of their salaries because they didn't see that 5% that came out. So if you get 7% raise or 5%, they take 5% out of that 5% and put it away and give you the rest. And it was a wonderful experiment. Maybe we need to institute some things like that because it really is going to help. Because people say to me, my salary doesn't allow me to live and save. It has to, because if your lifestyle, if your salary is $2,000, your lifestyle had to be $1,500 because you need to be able to put aside. And I just want to say something to women. We live longer than men on average, so we have got to start to plan differently, not wait. And you know how we like to take care of everybody else. We love to do that. So now financial wellness programs are intended to educate employees by ultimately increasing their financial well-being. How do you suppose this can be done to achieve maximum impact? Dion, and then I'll go to Jackie.
Honestly, for it to achieve the impact, you have to create the critical mass. And so a lot of spending that occurs, I believe, occurs because of peer pressure. We're always under this peer pressure thing to live like the Joneses, have what the next person has, and all of these things. I believe that it all comes down from us not having the self-esteem levels that are required for us to not be jealous of or want to be like the next person. However, saving tips are very important for us to share. A lot of people don't understand how easy it is to share. I remember my first financial wellness class that I did, the person told me, pay your mortgage loan in 2 payments and you'll automatically, you'll be paying more because you'll be paying off the principal faster, which means that the interest at the end of the month will be cheaper. That was a brainwave to me that I never ever knew before. A lot of you financial specialists have a lot of little tips and tricks and things that you all hide from us. And I think that I'm glad, Judy, that you're willing to share, because it's important for us to know these things, especially persons like myself who are not driven or trained in finances. So we need to understand these things, but we also need to understand, just like how a company says we need to become leaner, we need to make sure that our lives and our lifestyles become lean enough to match the revenue that we're bringing in, and also to match the economy that we're living in at this point in time. When did we start drinking coffee from a coffee shop? When did we need to eat breakfast on the street side every day? I saw your last plug, Judy. I think you mentioned to somebody, you tell them, why can't you make lunch for yourself at least? I can't remember how often you had said in your last.
At least 4 times. At least
four times a day. You know, people are like, and pack lunch. Because in the Caribbean, we've made that shameful. Taking your own food is a shameful thing. And eating in a restaurant it shows that I am tapa. But the reality is, we need to stop with this thing where we create all of these mental things about what looks good and what doesn't look good. And we have to do what is good for us and our financial well-being and our financial futures, and stop allowing peer pressure and bullying to occur, whether it be in the corporate environment or in wherever it is. So say, for instance, when you take your food, somebody taking it out, they're like, well, if Julie cook your food, I like cook mine too. We need to start being those role models and making people see that saving is sexy and controlling your spending is sexy, rather than the fact that we have to go out there and look as if we are, just money box and making it. Even if you are, realize that we need to start to protect the environment, protect everything. There is scarcity in the world, and we need to start to show this as human beings, caring for each other and caring for the environment on a whole. and teaching our children at the end of the day, because remember, they're seeing what we're doing and they can see if we're wasteful or we're not wasteful, and how we utilize stuff. I took my children to Japan 2 years ago because I wanted them to see that in Japan they don't throw away anything, they repurpose everything. Any little piece of shish in your fridge comes out and turn into fried rice or whatever, right? It's important for us to teach our people how to reuse and recycle and do things over and over. That's how savings, and that's how our money will grow.
Not to mention the health benefits of making your own food, right? Yeah.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
Jackie, how do you think that we can make this work across the board for both employers and employees?
I think employees will need to have access. So for them to do all of those things and get all those tips that Dion mentioned, they will have to have access to these programs. There needs to be training in the area. We have to make the information available and we have to make it relatable. And then I think about it, even when you do these programs, when you have training, financial wellness, there might be persons who do not gravitate towards it naturally. It's not going to be there and they say, okay, I'm going to enroll and I'm going to do this thing on my own. So I thought about maybe some ways, as Dion was talking about, we could make sure that this happens. Make it part of the onboarding. So once somebody gets into the organization, this is something that they have to do. Another thing that we have to do is to recognize the different needs, and maybe age will help with this because persons in the organization are at different age groups and will have different needs as it relates to financial wellness. And so we have to recognize those needs and then organize the programs to cater to these needs. So an older person might be thinking about retirement, a young one might be thinking about investment, and I think all of that comes together. And I keep talking about assessment because if you do all of these things and you do not assess how it's working, then you really don't know, which areas to improve in and what to do and that kind of thing.
It definitely requires follow up because these aren't like a one off thing. Like the training on it of itself isn't really a one off thing. So to be able to for the information to take hold and to sink in, it has to be something that is done continuously. And also not everybody will want to do a public program kind of thing, right? Some people might want to do, okay, I don't want to sit down with everybody, but I could probably do it in a smaller group, that kind of thing. So it's really just tailored specifically towards the needs of the employees. And I just want to plug something that Dion said, right?
Mhm.
If you're going to pay any extra money on your loan, make sure and tell the bank to put it towards your principal because they are going to put it on their interest because they will get paid first, no matter what you do. So if you put in extra money, just tell the bank, put it on your principal. That way you pay down your loan faster and your interest rate, the amount of interest that you pay is less. So just a little tip, Dion.
Good.
We're about to wrap up. We get into the hour mark. So I want to ask each of you, do you have what further tips can you give to employees in terms of managing their salaries effectively to avoid the pain of financial stress? Jackie? Sorry.
I think at this point I have to reflect on some training that I had with you with Go Blue, and seeing the vision board and transferring those dreams to paper. And because I can see it, I can aspire towards it, and then I can put it in money sense and see how the salary will take me and the other revenue streams and how that works. And then the other thing that I have to remember is do a budget and stick with it.
The sticking to it is the problem, because just like our New Year's resolution, right? We make them, we make them. We adamant. We go into the gym. We're doing this. We're doing that. And 2 weeks into it, we don't, because we see a budget and we see any kind of things like a resolution. We see it as restrictive. So we think that it's taking away from us. So it's a mindset change. It really is. D?
You're very right, Judy. It's absolutely a mindset shift that we need to look at. However, the reason why I don't look at it as a New Year's resolution is resolution means to resolve. Start making a New Year's decision. And going back to what Jackie mentioned, that vision board is your New Year's decision, which means that every year you have to look at it again and peel off the parts that don't match up anymore and put in the parts that match up. And remember that that vision board, just like your company's strategic plan, is not supposed to be looked at only when you made it. It's supposed to be looked at every week for you to see deviations, so that the lagging indicators, just like in a financial plan, doesn't lag so much that you can't recover. You have to look at it often, because remember, awareness, the only way you'll have changes if you have awareness, desire, knowledge, action, and reinforcement. And the only way you will be able to reinforce is if you see where you want to go. One of the people in the chat just now mentioned that no matter what you tell people, one of the things that I've told everybody, stop worrying about the other people. Take care of you. And once they see your success, they'll want to come and to follow your success. So don't get caught up with all of the people, because you have to prove that you can do it first. And financial management, one of the things that I found out is I don't expose myself to things being sold because I want to buy it. So then that is one of the first things I had to do, is I have to stop going out shopping, because if I go shopping, then I will buy. I have to limit my time on Amazon, because if I am on it too much, I will find something I like. So at the end of the day, the budgets are good, but it's also important for you not to put yourself out there to see things you can spend money on, or to be encouraged to spend money on things that aren't necessary, because if they're not on that vision board, you're not allowed to look at it. Remember that. And that is why I think that a lot of companies say that they're trying to help the staff member, but then they allow these people to come in and sell jewelry and sell furniture and sell this and sell that at the workplace. You're encouraging your team members to do what you told them not to do in the financial management class. Let's stand by what you say you're telling them to do. Remember, they can't make that New Year's decision and stick by it unless you will help them as a community to hold their hand, to not make them go down, and not to preachy and act like you're God telling them not what to do, but to guide them and hold their hand and say, you messed up just now, man, but let's capture back together, because I've made some stupid financial decisions in my life, trust me, but I've also made some brilliant ones that can help me recover and are helping me to recover the blunders. So it's not about judgment. It's about guidance, support, mentorship, coaching, and whatever new idea you come up with, share it, which is why this conversation is not a one-off. We will not fix the world's financial problems in one. So Judy, stick with it. But talk to your government. Get the whole government to start doing it. Because let me tell you something, financial prudence in government is what is needed. Fiscal responsibility is needed in every part of our lives. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
And let us work towards that as a one by one, and then as an entire Caribbean people, because we know how to live beyond our means really well. We need to learn how to live within our means at some point.
Yeah, we've mastered that. And as you spoke about the people who selling the jewelry and the clothes and the this and the that, not to mention those quick loan companies that companies, sign on to, so that their employees can. If you don't sign on to it, the employees won't have access to it because those quick loan companies need your salary because they are going to get paid. And for some of them, their interest rate is as high as 35%.
Have to be careful with the credit card companies as well. 24% in Belize. I don't know what you all are paying there, but
I think it's
you
the
know,
same.
it doesn't make sense. I mean, that means you're paying. So yes, you got the dress for a deal for $75, but you really paid 100 for it. You know. So we have to be careful and be serious about our spending and see where it is that we're going. Buy
Definitely.
classic clothes that you can wear over and over. You know.
Yep, and you buy them and you can mix and match and you can do
Yeah,
different
and
things.
beautiful jewelry that you could
Mhm.
enhance it with if you're, you know. Be
But
careful.
really,
Be careful. Nothing in
yep,
life should be disposable that you're spending your hard-earned money on.
yep.
And
Think
that's why
about this.
I buy green, you know, buy a dish and take it to the side store and let them put your food in there, you know. Disposable is expensive. Recyclable is always going to be. So that's in your clothes, in your housewares, in your everything that you do.
In your thinking,
Yes, yes, definitely.
right?
Definitely, definitely.
So it is important that we learn to master our money or it will continue to master us. Somebody said recently that we we are not slaves, but we were enslaved. And we continue to be enslaved. We continue to be slaves to our money. So our money has not enslaved us. We are slaves to our money. So unless we learn to master that, we'll continue to remain in those same situations, right? It's about time that we get right with our money. It really is about time that we start to get right with our money. And what I have found is that the way we earn, spend, and save again is a matter of our mindset and the experiences we've had with money. Because I'll tell you what, if you grew up in a house where money was always the source of contention, one of the things that you're going to do as you get the money is find a way to get rid of it. And that's a whole subconscious thing because you associate money with contention. So it is kind of helping people to change the mindset around how they treat with money, right? So I want to invite everybody to be on the lookout for my 30-day money mindset detox program, where together we will explore what financial wellness looks and feel like for you so that you can be on your way to achieving your desired financial goals. Ladies, we're at the end of the program. I love this conversation because I don't think, well, I just kind of love any conversation on money. I really do. I really, really do. But I am really passionate about helping people, giving them information that's going to help them to live better. Because one of the things that fascinates me, right, is people who would have worked a full life, worked for a good salary, and end up in the poorhouse or end up on the streets. That is one of the most fascinating things to me. Like, what didn't you do? What help didn't you get that you're at this point? And for me, if I could help at least one person not to end up in that position, then I think I would have done my best. So thank you for joining me today. I just want to say that 10 weeks really flew by, right? This is number 8 of 10. It's just going. So we have 2 more weeks left. And next week we're looking at investments, but specifically for women. And the following week, we'll be talking about money and relationships. I think and it's just every relationship, every relationship, whether it's with your husband, your wife, your mother, your father, your children, money is an important part, and how we integrate money into those relationships really matter. So until then, I'm asking you to please stay safe. Dion, I know that You have more cases than we do in Grenada. So I'm asking people to please stay safe, follow the social distancing protocol, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and follow and connect with us on whatever social media we have: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. And I have a YouTube channel where all these videos will be housed. So subscribe and get access to it. So thank you for joining us today. And make sure to share this video so that as many people as possible can get this information. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today.
It was a pleasure.